means, if you are Gemini as far as your ascendant is concerned. I will begin with the transit of Mars, because Mars Hello. Today in this video I am going to analyze the influence of the major transits around the zodiac and their possible effects in your life as a Gemini or a Gemini rising, which means, if you are a Gemini as far as your ascendant is concerned. I will begin with the transit of Mars, because Mars is going to play a major role in 2022 for you, for other people as well, but most especially for Geminis, it is going to be extremely important, as you will find out in this video. So let's begin right away. On the 13th of December 2021, and until the 24th of January 2022, Mars will transit in Sagittarius. This is the sign that is opposed to Gemini. Therefore, it represents Gemini's relationship with the outside world, but mostly with the person sharing the Gemini's life, or the people around. It means that anything to do with partnership and personal relationship or professional career or social relationship will be made much more intense during this period. And there could be some excessive behavior or reactions which you should, be aware of in order to try and calm yourself, because this is a period of the year, the end of the year, and the beginning of the new one. There is the Christmas season and the New Year festivities, and all that creates a lot of perhaps extra work, extra responsibilities to face up to and to assume, so it may be quite a intense period during which you should, try and do what you need to do in an orderly way instead of trying to get everything done at the same time. So, patience will be extremely needed then to avoid incidents, to avoid arguments, conflicts, but also accidents. As you know, accidents do happen, and when they do, they happen very quickly. So try and relax during this period if you can, or at least, try to control your own energy and the energy of other people around you, because they could also be a source of tension. But then Mars is going to change sign to transit through in Capricorn, and the general climate is going to change as well.
Up to $1 million. That's how much University of Phoenix is committed.
In Capricorn, Mars is going to join with Pluto. As you can see, Pluto is here in Capricorn toward the end of Capricorn. It's been in Capricorn since 2008, 2009, and it's going to remain in this sign until 2014. So while it is in there, it is transiting the number 8 sign from yours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And number 8 is your relationship with money, financial matters in society. So your relationship with banks, for example, and anything to do with corporate money and with investments as well, and returns on investments eventually. That's what we want, isn't it? So Pluto is also representing a period which is quite long. As I said, it started in 2008, and it's going to continue on having an influence, a backdrop sort of influence in your life until 2024. So it is important because it indicates that during this period, maybe you have lost something or someone, and it may have been difficult to deal with that, to sort of integrate this event or situation in your life path to favor progress and regeneration rather than depression, perhaps, and suffering, which may come from the energy of Pluto, because Pluto represents the necessity to accept the principle of life's cycles. So that means that everything begins, and there will be eventually an end to the situation, to the relationship, to a person as well, naturally. So when Mars transits in Capricorn, it will do so from the 24th of January until the 6th of March. But Mars is going to create a conjunction with Pluto around the end of February. And it will remain quite active until the end of the transit of Mars in Capricorn, which is on the 6th of March. So that period there, for about, I would say, 10 days to 2 weeks, you will probably be more intense as far as what needs to be regenerated, transformed, changed, and perhaps it means also that you could be more radical about what you want to sort of destroy in order to get rid, to abandon, to forget about something or someone or a situation that is not to your agreement. So it will make you more intense, meaning that you will have to hold on and try and be more patient and better organized in order not to make a mistake. Because if it is a financial mistake, for example, you could have to pay for it, and it may be costly. So, try and take it easy between, say, approximately the end of February and the 6th of March. But after that, Mars is going to transit a sign which is in agreement with yours, which is very friendly with yours, and that is Aquarius. Of course, it doesn't mean that a Gemini person can live with an Aquarius person, but these are two air signs, and as such, they are compatible and good together, more or less. It's easy to mix air with air. What you get is more air. So Saturn has been transiting in Aquarius, and that has begun on the 17th of December 2020. So right through 2021 and right through 2022, Saturn will remain in Aquarius. It will leave Aquarius in March 2023. But during the time it is in Aquarius, Saturn is helping you stand for what you want in life. It makes you more patient. It makes you more resilient as well. So you can wait, and you can also organize better, perhaps, the time that you have to achieve what you want to achieve. even though it's not easy because the period is complicated. And it's been complicated more and more since early 2020 because of the pandemic, simply that, So we're all affected. But Saturn is showing that while it transits in Aquarius, it gives you more ability to wait and to prepare what you want to achieve when it actually leaves that sign to change and transit through in Pisces. So when Mars arrives in Aquarius, which is going to be on the 6th of March, and the transit is going to last until the 15th of April, you see here on the 5th of April, Mars is going to create a conjunction with Saturn. And Saturn, as I said, represents your ability to wait for your time. So perhaps it means that then your time somehow will have come. And it may be the best moment to choose to make that important decision. Decisions are represented by Mars, at least our ability to make decisions and to fight for what we want to achieve, to fight for what we want to defend as well. So Saturn represents your ability to build and to obtain concrete and long-lasting results. So if you have a project, an ambition, or if you're involved in something that may become a source of great satisfaction and long-lasting repercussions as well, then on the 5th of April or around the 5th of April, because the influence is going to be strong from early April, from the 1st of April until about the 10th of April. But it is true that the exact conjunction is going to occur on the 5th of April. And to me, if I had to take a decision, and I was born a Gemini, so I know what I'm talking about, and I will choose this time of the year to make an important decision, especially if that decision involves something that will last for a long time. It's like an investment, for example, and to officialize the investment, whatever type of investment it is. It can be financial, but it can be anything else. And I'm sure that if I take this decision on the 5th of April, I will obtain a better result than if I take it later on or much earlier on. So do as I will do, and perhaps you will enjoy a very good result. Perhaps actually when Mars transits your sign or your ascendant, and that will be later on in the year, and it will last for a much longer time than Mars takes to transit usually a sign. It takes about 6 weeks, but in Gemini, it's going to remain almost 6 months this year, 2022. So get ready for that, because that's going to be the major transit of the year for you.
If you have a side hustle and haven't heard of Lily, I'm here to help. Lily is an online baking service that was created just for freelancers. You manage your business and personal finances all in the Lily app, and you can withdraw money.
Before we talk about the transit of Mars in Pisces, I wanted to talk about the transit of Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. These are what we call slow planets. Jupiter takes 12 years to revolve around the zodiac compared to Mars, which takes about 2 years, and Neptune needs 165 years to do the same circle around the zodiac. So Neptune is a very, very slow planet. It's in Pisces since 2012, since February 2012, and it's going to remain in this sign until 2026. That means perhaps that in accordance with what you want to achieve in life. It may be a little bit blurry, confused. The situation in the world may have something to do with that, naturally. But in 2012, there was no pandemic whatsoever. But then, Neptune created extra sensitivity and perhaps a better or stronger intuition or a connection with the invisible world. So your feelings were most probably more and more acute, and they led you to believe. And believe in yourself is good enough, to motivate your ambition to succeed. But with Neptune, you're not 100% sure that what you feel, what you believe, and what perhaps you perceive is a reflection of reality. So that means that during the transit of Neptune in Pisces, your position in life, which is what Pisces actually represents, according to your sign or your ascendant, it is number 10. You see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as such, it represents your status in society. It can represent your career. It represents your personal ambitions and your ability, potential to succeed. And as such, Neptune is creating a foggy sort of situation. And fog is not what you really need if you're driving your car to somewhere you want to go. Therefore, you need to be extra careful when you drive through fog. So when Mars transits in Pisces, as we'll talk about later on, there will be a warning to issue. But before that, let's see what Jupiter can provide. Because Jupiter is going to transit through Pisces from the 29th of December this year, 2021, until the 20th of December, 2022. And during that time, it's going to increase the influence of Neptune. So perhaps it's going to make the fog even more foggy, thicker. So it's going to be perhaps more difficult to actually make sure that what you believe, what you see, what you perceive is a reflection of reality. Therefore, it means that while Jupiter transits around the position of Neptune, you will need to be extra careful not to make any wrong step, more or less. It means that perhaps if you are too enthusiastic, because that's what Jupiter represents, you may believe in what you believe too much compared to the reality of that same belief. And that will be very strong here on the 12th of April. That's when Jupiter is going to create a conjunction with Neptune. So avoid making a decision, avoid getting officially involved in something important around that date, a little bit before, a little bit after. I would say stay put throughout the month of April, and then it could be a little bit more easy for you to see where you're going and to reach your goal. The last time this conjunction happened was on the 18th of March, 1856. That's a long time ago. So it means that because it is a unique configuration, it can also be a source of great inspiration for you. But you will need to make sure that the inspiration in question, or the belief, as I said earlier, is a reflection of reality, that it is going to be made real. And if you can make your own dream real, then of course it is like winning the jackpot, more or less. then Mars is going to transit through in Pisces, as I said earlier. That's going to be so from the 15th of April until the 24th of May. And on the 18th of May, there will be a conjunction with Neptune. Jupiter will be in Aries, so its influence is going to be much different, as I will explain to you in a minute. But while Mars transits the position of Neptune, knowing what I said earlier about Neptune, for sure, because Mars represents your ability and our ability to everyone to decide and to, get involved at times very quickly, very suddenly, very forcefully, then you will need extra caution in order to avoid a mistake. Because if you do make a mistake, then when Mars transits your sign, it's going to come back to you, and it's going to be perhaps a source of dissatisfaction or disillusion, which would be a shame. You can avoid that by not taking the decision that you believe then that it is the right decision. First, analyze, think, take your time, and perhaps gather some extra information, rational information, because with Neptune, nothing is rational. It is just intuition, inspiration, belief, and so on. So, while Mars transits in Pisces, I'm sure that you will be, and I will most probably be too, because I'm also of Gemini, as I said earlier, motivated to act on what I feel, but it may not be the right decision. So I will try to hold back and see what happens, because then Mars will transit in Aries, and the climate, the general atmosphere is really going to change for the better.
Up to $1 million. That's how much University of
A few words before about the transit of Jupiter in Aries. As you can see here, Jupiter will transit in Aries from the 11th of May until the 28th of October, and it will become retrograde here from the 29th of July at 8 degrees and 43 minutes in Aries. And then on the 28th of October, it will return in Pisces. And it's actually when Jupiter returns in Pisces from the 28th of October until the 20th of December 2022 that you could realize that you've made a mistake. When Mars was transiting in Pisces, or when Jupiter was first transiting in Pisces, creating a conjunction with Neptune on the 12th of April, and then Mars creating another conjunction with Neptune in May. So when Mars transits in Aries, and that is going to be so from the 24th of May until the 5th of July, it will create a conjunction with Jupiter. And it will create another one with Chiron here in Aries. So Aries is a fire sign, and fire mixes quite easily with air. Gemini is an air sign. Fire and air need one another. So it is a strong relationship, and it is a very motivating relationship, because Mars represents Aries, and Mars is the god of war. So if you need to go to war to defend yourself or to obtain what you want to obtain, to impose yourself in a situation, whatever it is, Mars will be on your side. You will be more efficient to fight for what you want to achieve. And Jupiter transiting in Aries at that time will also increase and enhance your ability to benefit from opportunities. some opportunities may come very quickly, very suddenly, very unexpectedly. But if you are careful and if you open your eyes, around the 29th of May, something quite generous, something very interesting may actually happen. It is an opportunity that may come around, and you will need to act very fast to, take advantage of such opportunity. And then Mars is going to reach the position of Chiron, and that will be on the 16th of June, 2022. If there is a health issue, let's say, for example, you are ill, or an area of your life is ill. It can be any area, professional, social, relationship, love-wise, financial, whatever. Then when Mars reaches the position of Chiron, because Chiron is in accordance with your sign, is in harmony with your sign in Aries, you may be able to take the right decision very quickly and in a very efficient manner in order to cure an illness, for example, or to solve a problem that may have a detrimental influence in some area or other in your life. So that's a great moment, and the whole transit of Mars in that sign until the 24th of May is going to be on your side. So you will feel more efficient and more motivated to move forward and to obtain better results for sure. Because after that, Mars will transit in Taurus, and once again, the general climate is going to slightly change, as we will find out just now. When Mars transits in Taurus, it is going to reach very quickly the position of Uranus, which is in Taurus since 2019. There was already an incursion in this sign in 2018 for a few months, from May until November. But since March 2019, Uranus is in Taurus, and that is going to last until 2025-2026. While it is in Taurus, it is in the last sign before yours, or your ascendant. So it represents the past. And it means that something drastic must have changed according to whatever situation, or according to whatever you had realized in the past. And that change is probably difficult to accept, to deal with, to integrate in your life path in order to make it richer somehow, thanks to the events or situation, whatever it was. And Taurus is the sign that represents earthly matters, like the material side of life, like food, like the money that you need to buy what you need on a daily basis, to pay for your rent and so on. It represents agriculture as well. So it represents what you eat, what you get from the ground, what we get from the ground, so that we can, survive and keep on going. So Uranus is changing all that, and it's making you see life differently. But there is probably something that needs to change more again. Every 2 years, because that's the time that Mars takes to revolve around the zodiac, Mars will reach the position of Uranus. And every time it does, it will create the urge or a surge of intense energy to change what needs to be changed. So that means perhaps getting rid suddenly of something you don't need anymore, and that you've been dragging for many years, too long anyway. So you need to get away from that, or you need to get away or get rid of that, whatever it is. and that can be a relationship actually, but it can also be a habit. It can be material possessions as well. In some way, you will need to accept the fact that you need to change your habits. And when Mars reaches the position of Uranus on the 2nd of August, perhaps then you will decide very abruptly and suddenly to change something, to get rid of something that is holding you back. And that is represented by Saturn. But Saturn also represents the restrictions that are imposed on us by the situation, so since that pandemic has begun. And of course it is creating frustration, and it makes us sometimes very electrical, very nervous and very impassioned as well. And when Mars transits in there, in Taurus, the situation or the position of Uranus is just as much as when Mars transits the position of Saturn that we've talked about earlier on. You are going to be less patient with whatever is holding you back. But my advice is to you and to myself as well, because I'm also directly concerned, will be to try and stay calm as much as possible, to avoid a mistake, because mistakes need then to be fixed up or to be paid for, and it can be expensive. Or it can be expensive not just money-wise, naturally, but in another way, according to your life, to your situation, to your birth chart also. So if you need more information about that, of course, don't hesitate to visit our website, and you will find the information to order a reading or just an answer to a precise or specific question that you may have. And then Mars will transit through your sign. As I said earlier, this is a long transit. It's going to remain in Gemini for about 6 months.
When we started Carvana, they told us that selling cars 100% online wouldn't work. But we went to work.
So let's see the dates now when Mars will transit in Gemini. From the 20th of August, 2022 until the 25th of March 2023, and it will be retrograde from the 30th of October until the 13th of January 2023. When Mars retrogrades, it's not as strong as usual, because the planet is like on standby, more or less. The energy of the planet is running away from the Earth, because the Earth is traveling faster around the zodiac. So it is overtaking Mars, and Mars seems to go back on its track. But of course it's not, it's just an impression that we have. But it is a physical situation, and it does have an incidence on the energy of Mars. It lessens the energy of the planet. And it does the same for any planet which is retrograde. So anyway, Mars in Gemini, that's going to be quite something, really memorable, because Mars is going to give you a lot of fighting energy, reacting energy, that will be useful if it's well controlled, naturally. Otherwise, you will make mistakes. Otherwise, you will tend to go too fast to where you want to go, and you may risk an accident or at least an error, and that error can cost you, somehow. But you will be well connected with Saturn, as I said earlier when I analyzed the influence of Saturn. It means that Saturn can allow you or help you control the energy of Mars. And if you can do that, then you will realize something very interesting, very solid, very durable. Because Saturn is time, so anything you can realize when Saturn is on your side will have long-lasting repercussions and consequences Now, Mars is in discordance with Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, at least until the end of the transit of Jupiter in Pisces on the 20th of December. And that configuration is indicating a tendency to be perhaps a little bit too optimistic at times. And because Neptune, as I said earlier, represents what you believe, what you feel, what you want to believe as well, you may be tempted to act very suddenly and very, very impulsively on what you believe, because you will be much too enthusiastic because of the influence of Jupiter. So it needs to be, of course, taken into consideration in order to avoid mistakes once again. So rely more on the influence of Saturn and what it represents, because it does represent wisdom. Wisdom that may be stemming from someone around you, maybe an older person or a person who knows better than you do in the area that you are attracted to, or that will perhaps help you avoid making the mistake that I've mentioned earlier about the influence of Jupiter and Neptune together. And of course there is another here link which is quite positive with Chiron. And from the 20th of December, when Jupiter transits in Aries, it will, of course, continue on having an influence with Mars, because actually Mars is going to remain in Gemini until the 25th of March. So until the 25th of March, from the 20th of December 2022, Jupiter will then be on your side together with Mars, together with Chiron, together with Saturn, and that's going to create a mix of positive energy that will definitely help you achieve something great that you may be able to realize in 2023. But I will talk about that next year when I make the videos for 2023. Let's talk about Lilith now. Lilith, or the Black Moon. It is at the moment transiting in your sign, in Gemini, or your ascendant. And it's been transiting in there since the 18th of July this year, and it will transit in Gemini until the 13th of April 2022. And then it will transit in Cancer from the 13th of April 2022 until the 8th of January 2023. Lilith remains about 9 months in a sign. So while it transits in yours, or your ascendant, it means that anything to do with question marks that are represented by Lilith, the things we hide, or the things that are hidden from us, may become a source of inspiration. And because you will maybe, and because you will be more attracted by what is hidden, by the unknown, you may make extraordinary finds during this period. So Lilith is also creating a stronger libido, stronger needs, sexual needs, and other types of needs actually. It makes you more intense, but also it makes you more unsure, because the unknown remains the unknown. And even if you find out a part of the unknown, a larger part remains unknown. So it is attractive for sure, and you will be attracted by the unknown, and you will perhaps be even very motivated by research in some way, and it will allow you to find out what you have not perhaps been able to find out for the last 9 years, because that's the time that the Lilith or Black Moon takes to revolve around the zodiac. So the last time it was transiting in your sign was 9 years before. 9 years before 2021 and a bit of 2022. Then after Gemini, Lilith is going to transit through Cancer. And in Cancer, it is going to affect the second sign from yours or your ascendant, and that is your second house. The second house represents money and material, the material side of life. So if it's not 100% clear what you are doing money-wise, or maybe with food as well, because house 2 also represents food and the money that you earn to pay for your bread, more or less. And it also represents a tendency actually to wonder and to be worried about money and food, and perhaps to react in a strange way to what you eat. So you will need to be, careful about that, and also careful about how you spend your money, how you deal with the material side of life in general, to avoid mistakes. That's all there is. But Cancer is the family side, so it can represent also something that is questioning and uncertain. It's like a dark zone or the unknown that will somehow cohabit with your or within your family environment or your place of residence, or anything to do with the home and perhaps even the whole country, because this sign, Cancer, is linked as well to the country where you live, the area where you live, the region, the state, the city, whatever. That is all represented by Cancer in astrology. And it also represents our emotions. So you will most probably be more influenced by your own emotions, but you will be perhaps a little bit confused about such emotions. So, try to remain as rational as possible during the transit of Lilith in this area of your chart. Otherwise, it may cost you more than what you hope to win or to earn. I will end this video with the North and South lunar nodes. They're going to transit through most of the signs during the year. In Taurus, the North lunar node is going to reach the position of Uranus, and that will be done at the end of July. And we've seen earlier that on the 2nd of August, Mars was going to reach the position of Uranus, triggering the need to change. And the North lunar node represents that toward which we should be tending to go. So because it is reaching the position of Uranus that represents change, you will naturally need to go toward the change. But it may not be so easy to concretely realize. Thanks to the energy of Mars, you may be able to find the extra strength to actually impose the change. Even though Saturn, which is still in Aquarius, may try to hold you back, and that may be linked to the situation worldwide that may not yet be solved, and that will still be a source of restrictions and limitations. And that will make you quite nervous, intense, and perhaps angry even. So you'll need, around the end of July and early August, you'll need to be extra careful to avoid, of course, making that move that would be too fast, too presumptuous, or too radical as well. Especially if you are acting on the basis of something that is holding you back. It's like you're pulling on a rope because a rope is tied around your waist and someone is holding you back. At one stage, thanks to Mars that represents that, you may use your knife to cut the rope. But when the rope cuts off, then you may fall down because you are pulling so strongly on that string. So just remember that in order for you to obtain the best results, you will need to prepare yourself. And that preparation will need to be done as soon as the year begins. We've seen earlier that Mars was going to transit through in Sagittarius between the 13th of December 2021 and the 24th of January 2022. And it will be across your sign. And that's when you will need to get into the logic of change. Prepare yourself for the change. And even though it may take until the end of July or early August, I'm pretty sure it is worthwhile waiting and getting prepared for that. Mars is going to give you a lot of incentive to act and react and impose yourself and, fight for what you want to obtain. But at times it may be too much, at other times it may be quite well organized. And that is what you should work on, getting organized. And the better organized you will be, the better results you will obtain. And then you will be able, because at the end of 2022 and early 2023 will still be marked by the transit of Mars in your sign. That means that you will begin the following year very strongly, with a lot of determination and a lot of strength as well. So put it to the right situation, to right project, so that you can obtain the best results, which I'm sure you can. This is the end of this reading. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that it's going to be useful to you throughout the year. So don't hesitate to watch it again and again as you need it throughout the year, because it may remind you of some important transits that you could use or preserve yourself from in order to avoid misfit or to increase your chances to succeed. So anyway, I thank you very much for your attention and for your interest in my work. And of course, if you need more information about your own chart, if you need an in-depth reading of your own chart,